Bonjour à tous, je suis vraiment content aujourd'hui de pouvoir faire la vidéo avec Oli London que vous voyez avec moi et il va s'introduire et se présenter lui-même. J'avais sondé la communauté sur Instagram et beaucoup m'avaient dit qu'ils ne le connaissaient pas. Moi, j'avais entendu parler de toi, Oli, bien avant la vidéo que j'avais vue sur Valeurs Actuelles. Mais tu vas nous en dire plus sur toi maintenant.
Bonjour, ça va? Je m'appelle Oli. My name is Oli London. I'm a social media influencer.
Ah oui, au fait, la vidéo est en anglais, l'interview est forcément en anglais. Oli London ne parle pas français. Donc, je te conseille de mettre la vidéo sur pause. Tu cliques sur la petite roue dentée en bas à droite de la vidéo. Tu actives les sous-titres. Tu réappuies sur sous-titres et tu cliques sur traduire automatiquement. Tu cherches français. Voilà, français. Et c'est parti. Voilà, cette fois-ci, tu pourras avoir la traduction automatique. Allez, c'est reparti.
TV personality. Bonjour, ça va? Je m'appelle Oli. My name is Oli London. I'm a social media influencer, TV personality, a news commentator, and the author of the upcoming book, DETRANSITION, a memoir. So a lot of people know me from my TikTok videos, my YouTube videos, and I also do K-pop music. So anyone that's a fan of K-pop would have seen my music videos, my love of Korea. I'm always promoting Korean culture, K-pop, BTS, Blackpink. So many people know me from my viral videos about that and my videos on YouTube. And also many people, I do a lot of television shows. I have a TV series on RTL Germany, but it's also in France. I've done several French TV interviews before and always kind of speaking on news topics on news channels in America and the UK.
So great. And this is before your first transition?
So this is actually, I had a lot of surgery. So I shared a lot of my surgical journey on YouTube, on TV shows. So people have been following me for years. So I used to live in South Korea. I loved K-pop. So I wanted the K-pop look, you know, I wanted to look like a K-pop star. I wanted to become like a K-pop star. So people have seen that. I've been sharing that for the last 5 years. And then last year, at the start of last year, I began my surgery to transition. So people also know me from that. And then I later detransitioned.
Ok, merci. Est-ce que maintenant tu peux nous raconter du coup pourquoi tu as fait cette première transition et qu'est-ce qui t'a amené après à détransitionner?
So I always struggled with my identity. From a young age, I always questioned myself, the way I looked, the way I felt, and my identity as well. I always used to play with Barbie dolls. I used to like the color pink. So I didn't really like doing boys things. I didn't play sports. I didn't play football. I like to do more girls things. So I always felt a little bit more feminine. And when I became a teenager, people at school, they used to tease me and bully me and call me names, you know, mostly about my appearance, say I was ugly or I didn't look very good. And some people would even say I looked feminine or I was like a girl. So that led me to dislike the way I looked, the way I appeared. So when I was 23, I was living in South Korea. I started to have plastic surgery. The first surgery was just a nose surgery. But it went wrong, so I had to get more surgeries, and then I kind of became almost addicted to it. You know, I wanted to change everything about me. I wanted to change the way I looked, my personality, my identity. So I struggled with the way I looked for many years, but also with that, I had body dysmorphia. So, you know, I couldn't even look in the mirror. I hated the way I looked. But also mixed in with that, I was confused with my identity about my gender. So, you know, I always felt more feminine. I thought more like a woman. People always said I was more like a girl. So I finally decided, you know, to live as transgender and, you know, wear the dresses, have the hair extensions. I had facial feminization surgery. And that was last year. So I really, you know, for a few months, I was happy. I felt maybe I made the right decision. Everybody was being so nice. Everybody was praising me. Oh, wow, you're finally a woman. You look so much better. And then I realized, you know, I wasn't happy and I was missing something. So I'd done all this surgery, I'd transitioned, and I was still missing something in my life and I couldn't figure it out. So I actually went to church, and that was the moment that helped me realized, I was doing too much to myself. I just need to focus on finding happiness from inside my heart.
J'ai juste une question, excuse-moi de te couper. Est-ce que c'était la première fois que tu rentrais dans une église ou tu avais déjà cette notion de foi?
So when I went to school for elementary school as a kid, I did actually go to a Church of England school, so it was an Anglican church. So I did used to go to church as a kid. But when I was a teenager, I wasn't interested in religion. I became atheist. So most teenagers are kind of like that these days. They don't realize how important finding faith is, because they're too busy on social media or doing other things. So yeah, I'd been in a church before. I'd always been interested in the teachings of Jesus, the teachings of the Bible, but I kind of got too caught up in my life to focus on that. And then it was last year when I needed the help. I was in like a crisis with my identity. I was so unhappy being a trans woman. And, just going to church, spending time there, reflecting, thinking, speaking to people in the church, the priest, and just learning, it was a very positive experience. And it was very empowering to learn, that Jesus was always kind to other people. He didn't judge people. He didn't care how people were. He just wanted to help them. Like the story with the leprosy, the man with the leper, Jesus went to wash him, to cleanse him of his sins, and nobody else would go to that leper. He was like an outcast, society didn't like him. He lived in a leper colony. That's how I felt. I used to get so much hate for my identity, the way I looked. So I felt like I was isolated, and then going to church cleansed me and made me feel like I could be happy again.
Tu es entré pour la première fois dans cette église et qu'est-ce qui s'est passé par la suite?
So the first time I went to the church last year, I actually spent like 2 hours there. So there was actually a sermon. So the priest was talking. They were also doing hymns. So everybody was singing, Kumbaya and some other hymns as well. And they were rechanting their Lord's Prayer. And it was just really nice. It was like a sense of community. It was like one big family. Everyone was very happy. Everyone seemed to just really feel good about themselves. And, a few people spoke to me. They were very kind. They were very welcoming. So it was really, I'd been so lost for so many years. I'd been chasing, trying to look perfect and, an addiction to surgery, confusion with my identity, that I finally felt, this is a good place. This is a place that can maybe help me heal and become a better person. And at that point, I was very lost. I was going to have more surgery. I was going to transform my body. And, I just needed somewhere where I could actually think about it, almost like a therapy going to church. I was thinking about, what am I doing with my life? How can I change myself? This is very bad behavior. It's very destructive. And, speaking to people there, nobody knew me, so nobody judged me. Everybody was so kind. And, I spoke to the priest. He gave me the Bible and told me to read some of the Psalms, some of the Gospel of Luke, just important chapters. So I started reading that, and, it just became, every day I got more interested, and then I started going to church more, and it just made me feel happy. I started to feel happy for the first time in a long time.
Quelle est la réaction de ta famille face à cette nouvelle transition, détransition?
So my family were very confused along my identity struggle. So I'd been having surgery for about 10 years. It was very upsetting to them. For any family, I think, when they see their child or someone they love changing so much and struggling so much, and it was really mental health, struggling with my identity. When somebody sees that, it's really hard for them. So now I feel very guilty for what I put my family through. And I'm trying to redeem myself, trying to become a better person. But yes, it was very upsetting for them to see what I was going through. And, but they were very happy when I finally found myself detransitioned. And, they supported me, being me, but, they wanted me just to be kind of happy and stop all the surgery and stop all the struggling. They could see I was struggling.
Qu'est-ce qu'ils pensent à propos de ta foi?
My family are not religious, but I mean, they were very happy that, for me, going to church and finding faith was much healthier than me going to a plastic surgeon. Much better because, finding faith, going to church is a positive thing.
It's free.
Exactly. It's free as well. So, going to church is a good uplifting thing. So they were just happy that I was doing anything apart from doing surgery.
Quelle est la réaction de ta communauté qui te suit sur les réseaux et de la communauté aussi LGBT qui comment ils ont suivi ta détransition?
So I actually got a lot of hate. The LGBT community were very hateful to me. They still send me abuse. Every day I get abuse from trans activists. Of course, not all the LGBT communities like that, but unfortunately, these days, the people that run the LGBT organizations or the activists, they're very extreme. They hate people that have a different opinion. They hate people that don't, do what they say. So yeah, they were very horrible. And, I get so many death threats from these people every day. And it's sad, because LGBT, it was meant to be about equality, helping people, happiness, but really it's become kind of very hateful these days. And, these LGBT organizations are actually pushing children to medically transition. They're pushing for men to use women's toilets. And, they're pushing for all these things. So I don't agree with a lot of the things they do. So that was a really tough reaction. TikTok and Instagram, people were a little confused, because nobody knows what detransitioning is. It's a very new thing. So people were very confused. So I had to explain it. I got a lot of support, though. So I had so many Christians send me messages, so many nice messages. They were the most kind people. A lot of people in America, parents, pastors, priests, bishops, I had so many nice messages from them. And that really was encouraging, because I needed some positivity because I was getting so much hate from LGBT activists, which is really sad because, like I said, LGBT was meant to be about inclusivity, equality, but these days it's become quite a hateful group and, they target children, they push children to medically transition. So it's been hard, but, I'm very grateful. I had many Christians, other people, my fans, very supportive.
J'ai cru comprendre dans l'interview que j'ai vue de toi que tu voulais te faire baptiser.
Yes. So now that I've been going to church, I've actually been going to a Catholic church in London. So I would like to get baptized this year. I would like to do communion as well. I've been trying to fast, for Lent. I'm trying to fast. It's quite hard not to eat. I can't do it every day, but, I'm trying to get more involved in that because it's like a healing, becoming Christian, becoming Catholic is very beautiful experience, because, last year all I cared about was surgery and wanting to look a certain way. I didn't care about other things. Now it's like I really care about the world. I care about, finding God, going to church. And then now I can use my wisdom to try and help other people, to help teenagers, to help parents that are going through these gender identity struggles. So it's really been, it's changed my life. So I do hope to get baptized later this year.
Est-ce que tu peux nous parler un peu de ton livre qui va bientôt sortir en août, il me semble?
So I am the author of a brand new book called Detransition, a memoir. So I was just in America. I just pre-released it. So it's just come out on Amazon, on other websites as well. This book, so half of the book is about my personal identity struggle. So, how I got to where I was, what influenced me. So how the bullying influenced me, how social media influenced me, how society influenced me to transition. But the second half of the book is actually exploring what is going on in the world right now. So we have, in America, we have something called gender affirming care, which is medically transitioning children. So this is hormones, puberty blockers, and actually surgeries on children. So my book covers how harmful this is. And in many cases, the parents don't have rights anymore in America. So kids can go to get these surgeries. They can be influenced to do it, and the parents don't even know. So the book is really talking about how harmful that is. It's also talking about, self-identifying. Because, of course, I was, identifying as a woman, but I was always respectful. But these days we have now men just suddenly identify as a woman. They can go into women's toilets, women's prisons, women's sports, and that is really harmful. So my book is really challenging this concept and also talking about, how are people being influenced? We have schools teaching books about gender, pronouns. We also have TikTok, which is very influential for children. Many TikTokers are now pushing children. They're telling them to transition, to change their gender, to go get hormones. And this is harmful because we have to let teenagers just grow up. They have to explore. They have to learn about the world on their own, but we shouldn't be pushing these things. So my book is really challenging that. But I also have several chapters about how I turned my life around, because I was really struggling. And then I went to church, I found God. I'm talking about certain teachings, like the parable of the lost sheep, the Jesus cleansing the leper. I talk about that in my book because I want to help people. Many people these days are lost. We're addicted to TikTok. We're addicted to Instagram. People don't, young people don't really go to church much anymore. So I want to encourage people to go to church, to encourage people to find God. So the book is really helping people while talking about the issues in the world.
Je suis tellement content d'entendre tout ce que tu racontes. Est-ce qu'il y aura une version française du livre?
It's actually being published in English first. So it's going to be in France, so you'll be able to get it in bookstores in France. It's on Amazon right now for pre-order, Amazon France. But right now it's going to be English version, but we will do translations, German, French in the future. But for now, English. But also there will be an audio book. So for people that don't want to read, they can listen to the audio book.
D'après ce que tu racontes dans ton livre, tu n'as pas peur du harcèlement que cela va engendrer?
I've been getting so much harassment already. So I announced my book 2 weeks ago in America. I was on a Christian news channel in Washington, D.C. I announced my book, and suddenly within 2 days, I had so many thousands of messages of harassment, of hate, of death threats, people saying they want to publicly execute me, people saying they want to stone me to death. These are all trans activists, by the way, people that want to transition children. They're now targeting me. And, these people haven't even read my book. My book is very sensitive. I'm discussing all the issues, trying to help people get a better understanding. But, really, I'm trying to help stop medically transitioning children, bring parents their rights back, and also protecting women. So, these are key issues that most people agree with. But unfortunately, the trans activists have been sending me so much hate. They're actually trying to cancel my book. They've been emailing the publisher. They've been emailing my agents. They've been messaging all my friends, trying to cancel the book, which is really sad because, books are about free speech. In any democracy, books are important with different opinions.
Yes.
People don't have to agree. People don't need to agree with a book, but it's important that everybody has a voice. So, I am very pro-democracy, pro-freedom of speech. This book is going to help a lot of people. The trans activists, they might not like what I'm saying, but, it's a book. A book is free speech. So they're trying to cancel free speech. So it's very dangerous that these people hate anyone that has an opinion or hate anyone that questions what they're doing to children.
Merci beaucoup, Oli. C'est vraiment très courageux. Quel message voudrais-tu donner aux parents et à la jeunesse qui sont confrontés comme toi, qui se retrouvent comme toi, peut-être à jouer plus avec des jeux de filles, qui sont peut-être plus filles d'un côté? Quel message tu voudrais faire passer?
So I would say to any young person, everybody that's young goes through a struggle. Everybody questions themselves. Some boys like to play with Barbie dolls. Some girls like to be like boys. They like to play soccer and football, which is totally normal, and that's perfectly fine. Some boys might like the color pink. Some girls might like the color blue, but it doesn't exactly, you have pink there, but it doesn't mean that you should change your full identity. So as a teenager, every teenager, they question themselves, they're insecure about their appearance, they want to fit in, they want to be cool in their school, but it doesn't mean that you should go to a hospital and change your gender. It's not natural. It's not right for you. It's very harmful. So I would just say to teens, it's perfectly normal if you're a boy to play with girls' toys or feel more like a girl, and for a girl to feel more like a boy. Just be happy. And when you become an adult, you will find happiness. You will find confidence. You will be happy with who you are. And, it's important to have a connection with God because God can guide you through these journeys. We all have a journey in life, but, putting yourself through harm, putting yourself on medication, surgery, is actually going to destroy a young person's life. At the time, they don't realize it. Sometimes they don't listen to their parents. They want to do what's in their head, a teenager, they're rebellious. But, it's really harmful to do that. It's so many health problems for the body. It's very dangerous. You're left with scarring, mental health issues. So, don't put yourself through that. Just learn to accept yourself. Normally, when you become an adult, you learn to love yourself for who you are, and that can take time. And for parents, you know, parents they understand their children better than anyone. They know what's best for their children. So, you know, parents want to love, protect, and accept their children. You know, most parents don't care if their boy plays with girls' toys. It's absolutely fine. But, you know, parents really need to keep an eye on their children because, you know, on social media, like on TikTok, there are videos pushing children to transition and change their gender. There are school teachers in some schools teaching children to change their gender. So parents need to be more aware of what's going on in order to protect their children. And it's not always possible. Some schools, they teach children to change their gender. They actually transition the children without telling the parents. So sometimes the parents don't even know. But I would just say to the parents, you know, try to be more involved in what's going on to protect your kids. And, you know, love them for who they are, but, you know, medically transitioning a child is never the answer.
Merci, un grand merci, Oli, pour ton courage. Je le redis encore une fois. Et vous qui regardez cette vidéo, je vous invite vraiment à prier pour Oli, pour que Dieu le garde, que Dieu donne la force, parce que il s'engage dans un combat très difficile et il a déjà dit dans cette vidéo, il reçoit déjà beaucoup de harcèlement, beaucoup de haine. Donc, priez pour lui. Priez pour lui.
Thank you.
Un grand merci encore, Oli, d'avoir accepté cette interview et d'avoir partagé ton témoignage avec moi. C'est vraiment un plaisir et très content d'entendre tout ce que Dieu a fait dans ta vie.
Merci beaucoup, and thank you for your prayers. I really appreciate it, and you know, I'll be praying for you for success with everything as well. And I really appreciate it. Thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Waouh, quel témoignage incroyable. Dis-moi ce que tu en penses dans les commentaires et surtout partage cette vidéo. Si ça te semble pertinent, partage-la. Il faut que ça soit connu, il faut que ce message soit entendu, il faut que cette histoire soit entendue. Parce que dans la vie, rien n'est jamais figé. Hein, on peut toujours changer et on peut même rechanger. J'aimerais finir avec ces quelques paroles inspirées de Miles Rutherford. Et ce message est pour toi qui a regardé cette vidéo et qui te reconnaît peut-être dans l'histoire d'Oli. Voici ces quelques paroles. J'ai une bonne nouvelle pour toi. Et cette bonne nouvelle, c'est que quelle que soit ton orientation sexuelle, Dieu t'aime et il veut une relation avec toi. Quelles que soient tes convictions politiques, Dieu t'aime et il veut une relation avec toi. Quoi que tu aies fait, quoi que tu fasses, Dieu t'aime et il veut une relation avec toi. Ça, c'est la bonne nouvelle. Mais si tu acceptes, si tu crois en cette bonne nouvelle, il y a aussi une mauvaise nouvelle. La mauvaise nouvelle, c'est que de la même façon que Christ est mort pour toi, maintenant, tu dois mourir pour lui, mourir à ton ancienne vie. Et si tu acceptes Jésus comme ton sauveur et comme ton Seigneur, tu dois mourir à ta volonté, mourir à ta façon d'agir, mourir à tes désirs, mourir à tes projets. Et parce qu'il est roi et non pas un candidat à la présidentielle, on ne peut pas réécrire la Constitution basée sur ce que tu ressens ou sur ce qui t'attire. Mais sache une chose, c'est que Dieu t'aime et il veut nos relations avec toi.